Today's number is $4,000, and it's a bit of a special one because, of course, it's on one of our favorite asset classes in the world. If you've been watching the channel for the last couple of weeks, you would know that as we saw this happen, we had a suspicion that the data was telling us we would see a massive liquidity hit. And that's what's happened across all precious metals, including even bigger sells on silver, which is pretty normal. So what's next for these precious metals and gold? Well, we'll be taking a look at that in today's video with some amazing data. But on top of this, we have Netflix, Tesla earnings on the horizon, and resistance at all-time highs. Will we end up getting a squeeze event, or is this the beginning of a bigger sell that's going to start to come through all asset classes? Well, one thing's for sure, Bitcoin is facing its biggest problem over the next 10 to 20 days, and everybody is looking at a couple of levels. What are they? Let's break it all down together as we cover stocks, commodities, and cryptos in today's daily show. Guys, this is going to be a great one. We'll see you in a moment. Well, welcome back, everybody, to The Daily Show. My name's Thomas Atkinson. It's great to have you here. And if it's your first time here, remember to subscribe if you love investing and trading like we do. We're covering the macro, the dark pool trades from Wall Street and how it helped us to figure out gold and silver, and of course, the key levels right now with a bit of a special look on Bitcoin. But let's kick things off here with, of course, the news stories. And the first one is that Trump basically said maybe a meeting with Z will not happen. This, of course, reflects back onto these tariffs that are now on supposedly in November. And of course, it'll still be headlines all the way into that point. We don't know how it's going to play out, but one thing's for sure, the market has started to not pay as much attention to that news, thinking that whatever's going to be put on will probably be softened or taken off at the end. And this means that, of course, we have a semi-complacent market when it comes to stocks as well, which we have to be on top of. Now, speaking of bad things, Netflix released some of its results and the market didn't like them in after hours. This is the new logo I heard in terms of their release. But the charts actually looked better than the release ended up being, and it went down about 7% in after hours. Obviously, some concerns there about growth on the horizon. We'll cover more of that soon, but another one was, of course, Google falling throughout the day. And this was because, of course, OpenAI announced that they're going to make their own browser, and there's all sorts of things going on there. Now, that's an emerging story. We'll cover that more in the next video, because today we want to focus on the here and the now, which is obviously silver, gold, precious metals, and what exactly is going on. Well, we posted this over on our X account, links in the description down below if you want to follow us there, guys. And it really shows you how important it is to pay attention to trends. Now, actually, people in the community posted and sent me a whole bunch of different things, including lines here in Australia where I'm from, where people were lining up literally just to buy gold that we shared on the weekend video. And it was kind of our teller, you know what, it's probably hit a parabolic peak for now. When everybody's getting involved, remember, you don't want to be one of them. And this how to buy silver trend just hit new highs for all time when it comes to silver. Notably also, we've seen this happen a few times before, and guess when the last time was? 2011. And was that the peak? It actually was the peaking point with a lost decade in between for silver. So things are going to get that bad. Well, let's take a look at some more charts. We've already shown so many different charts here of why the gold run was pretty historic in terms of how it was looking. Here's another one here from Charlie Below, which is similar to what we've already been sharing, which obviously shows that RSI was extremely overbought. We've talked about that now for a month. Remember, that is not a timing indicator. What it does show you, though, is to look for other reasons. And I think that's one of the important points here. Here's one from Alfonso at All Star Charts, very similar to what we've been talking about, which is, of course, a parabolic style market. And here, what he did was he tracked the distance from the 200-day moving average. And you guys know, if you've been following this channel for years, I actually love this read. And I'm always a big fan of checking it out because it often shows parabolic markets. Now, notably, if you take a look here, when we've actually topped in this similar way, and this is where things get a little scary, it's often been actually a bit more of a scary peak for gold that's taken a little while to fix itself. So you can see here, if we think we're more in this kind of aspect, which is kind of where I feel like we are, then it may take a little while actually for gold to come back. And we'll talk about why I still think gold and silver are excellent from the investment perspective, but this is a little bit of a worry if you are a massive gold bug, because of course, when you get this high, sometimes it can go a little bit nasty for a period of time. Now, similar to this, Blue Curtix put together some data. This is where we have gold, GLD, the major, of course, ETF in the US, gapping down more than 3% at the open. Now, this is a parabolic run. You can see how it goes. We've had plenty of them in the past. And when we tend to see this at the tops, you can see here, it can be a bit more of a sideways-based action. Now, again, 2006, 2008 in focus. What happens? Well, the market actually gets kind of brutalized. Then it kind of recovers. Then it drops again. And then it gives another great buying opportunity while staying sideways in a pit for a little period of time. Now, this could mean that for gold, it may be a little while till it actually starts to reignite itself. But do remember, we've got a few things different about this time, which has been why we've liked gold so much. Number one, it's following the 1970s style and 2000 style bull runs. Now, if that's to be true, then of course, if we go here and we have a look at similar periods, you can kind of get a bit of an idea here that it could stay sideways for a while, but at the same time, it may actually find further buys maybe sooner rather than later. And the reason why this is because this is a central bank kind of fight. This is not just us, little people floating around in the street saying, I've got a candelabra, I'm going to go smelt that thing, get me some silver. That is not what's going on here. Of course, we're not moving the market. The market is being moved by powerful forces out there. And it's long since been argued by us on this channel, especially the last 3 years, that we've been extremely bullish on gold when everyone didn't like it because it is the oldest currency in the world. And if you are someone that believes in debasement, someone believes that central banks are in a currency war, that you've got geopolitical tensions, all these types of things still make gold a very attractive asset. And I still think that gold is actually still cheap when you compare it to historical averages of money print. And I think it's very important to always consider that whenever you're looking at the investment cycle. Now, for now, though, will volatility continue to be in this pair? I have a suspicion it may be. It may even get boring like it was in March this year, and it may go sideways for a while. But we did hit a very important level, which a few of you messaged me about today, and you were very proud, I got to say. Some of you were like, yeah, man, I nailed that bottom. Well, yeah, if you bought 4K, you're probably all right in terms of the trade aspect anyway. From gold and silver, let's have a quick look here at Bitcoin and see what's going on. Now, of course, I've been going on about this Scottie Pippen chart just because, of course, it's the 50 weekly moving average, which I like a lot. But I would actually really like to see this hit. Now, what's happening at the moment is there is a clear fight in the Bitcoin world. There are people that, of course, believe in the halving cycle. I've always believed. I thought it was an amazing trade. And last time around, it nailed it, guys. It absolutely nailed it. But we are now approaching a point in time. And a lot of you guys in the comment section said, Tom, with all of this evidence, how are you even going against it? How are you saying that Bitcoin could continue to go up? It's because everybody knows this. And I know that this stat is here, and I think there's going to be some psychological warfare going on around this. But the problem is that now we have the governments, now we have Wall Street, now we have all these things that supposedly were not meant to be involved in the crypto markets there. And that means shenanigans from Wall Street are going to come in as well. You can see here a cool chart from Brett Eth. A few of you guys obviously like him. I saw it in the comments down below, so shout out there. That's very cool. And you can see here that we've got this kind of halving period, which tends to last around these 530 to 550 days. You can see very similar periods in the last couple of cycles. Then we tend to get a topping, then we tend to send a sell, then of course it's rebuy again on the halving cycle. And I'm not saying this won't happen, it certainly could, but we have to be open to both cases this time. Last time I felt like everything worked out perfectly. The alt season came through and went ballistic, all the other majors kind of went ballistic, and we had everything that would really generate peak euphoria. This time around, there's a lot of people, a few of you have been messaging me saying, Tom, my hairdresser's told me to get into XRP. What is it with you guys in XRP? Why is XRP? We need to get the marketing team for XRP. I swear, you put the marketing team for XRP in any corporate business and you are going to have the greatest marketing in the world. Who here was first in XRP before even Bitcoin? Put it in the comments down below. I swear that there is no coin like XRP. I've never seen a marketing agency like you guys that love that coin. Either way, though, Bitcoin, the similarities are, of course, uncanny right now. We have top to bottom, bottom to bottom, halving to top, bottom to top. All of these different averages are almost smack bang on where we find ourselves at the moment. So, of course, you've got the Wyckoff crowd, which is that we have had kind of 3 slightly higher highs, and we're pressing now down potentially into that 100K marker. And of course, then there is people like me, which is saying, patience, let's chill. Yes, I'm still bullish. I'm going to see what happens. I'm reacting. Remember, if you're going to be in Bitcoin, you can't handle 20, 30% down. You can't really be in Bitcoin because the thing can wipe, even more than that. It could even wipe 85%, as we've seen before, very quickly. Now, Grant Hawkridge, one of my good friends in the finance world, he's come out and shared his bellwether stock index here, which I always like. Nice little kind of culmination of different things. And what he's found is it's hitting all-time highs. Now, you're generally not going to see this kind of market when you're in a bear market. So, of course, this is just a great read. And it leads us on to the stocks right now because, of course, if we do get a bigger pullback, let's say gold and silver were just the tip of the iceberg, Bitcoin goes down under 100K, which we'll look at. Then we see the stock market go to the weekly 20. Should we be freaking out? Well, I thought I'd put a couple of charts together as we do. Sometimes we smatter a couple in here. Here's the rest of the developed world versus US, which basically just shows you why it's so important generally to have US stocks because innovation is the bomb. It's the best thing to own generally in stock markets. And you can see here, for periods of time, we get exceptional runs for the US. Then sometimes you get better runs in the world markets. And this tends to be kind of like a thing that happens. And maybe we're starting to be due for a bit of a longer term pullback. Could we be seeing a lost decade soon? That's a discussion point for another day. Let's talk earnings. We've just seen Netflix. It's okay, but not that great. Now we've got Tesla, then we've got Intel. Next week's the big one, but Tesla will be in focus, of course, in the options world. And you can see here, based on implied movement, we're going to see Tesla. Actually, Netflix lived up to it, about 7% there, 7 to 8. And Tesla is expected to be about 8.5 to 9. So it could be a really big move. Onto the big dark pool prints. Remember, guys, we do have a couple of large ones. We've got the SSO, which is the 2 times levered SPY, and that's sitting right at the same price as it was. Kind of dropped a little bit there after Trump said that maybe the meeting with Z won't happen, but this is right at near those all-time highs, so of course a big one. We saw Google with a massive trade, number 1 largest trade ever a little while ago, and it's kind of topping in this pattern at this stage. I'm actually quite a big bull on Google, as you know, I have been for a long time here. And one of the reasons is clean data. I think whoever controls the data is a big deal. But this OpenAI thing certainly was an interesting aspect there because, of course, now we've got more competition. I tend to think Google will be all right there, but people are making a big deal out of it. We'll look at that in a deep dive soon. And then, of course, comes the big one, which is the number 8th largest trade on silver ever. And this was happening right at that parabolic high. And of course, we'd seen this before because when we got big ones like this, number 7, number 4, we'd often topped out and then we went into sideways for some time. So I think what this is kind of telling us is that now that we've seen this volatility, gold and silver are going to be excellent, most likely range trades or like even more decline trades for a little bit. And the investor is just going to have to chill for a little bit, waiting for the markets to recover and of course find their base. I'm not bearish on the long term for gold and silver. I don't think it's a topping pattern of the end of those runs. Not like 2011. I think it's more like a 2006 style, if I had to guess which one. Let's have a look now at S&P. We've got here advanced decline line going up, which is not bad. And of course, the market is sitting right at the peak. So nothing much to note there. It didn't get catalyzed by something like Netflix, so we didn't go through that, but we'll see what happens. Here is how the market's reacted to, of course, Trump's comments. Clearly, it is getting complacent. Now, what that means is that no one really believes anything and doesn't know anything about whatever's going on. So the market's saying, I'm going to call your bluff, and then we'll see what ends up happening. But just remember, clearly there is a lot of risk that is not being accounted for in markets. We've got no bond freakouts, no anything else. Options high and low levels are here. If we close above 67.76 kind of area, 67.50, then we're probably moving into what we call positive gamma. And I'll show you guys here with the options what I mean. 67.50 is the call wall. You can clearly see 67.70 becomes the call wall, which is why I mentioned it. That's at all-time high level. So a close above that's going to be very significant. And the market, on the surface is still bullish. I mean, it isn't bearish because we don't have a signal to go bearish. We just have a signal that it's taken a little chill. But do remember the end of October can be more volatile into November. It's that classic one. What we're looking for at the moment, It's just really more evidence to say that if there's any bearishness, it's going to come. At the moment, bellwether, all these other things, they're technically pointing all the way to the top. Tesla's going to find its big 450 moment. So will it be a win in terms of the earnings announcement or a loss? 450, 420 on the put side, the same levels we've talked about for what seems like 3 weeks now. Nvidia is chilling in the 180 area. Again, still looks bullish on the charts, but no main movement there. And IBIT is all over the place. So this is, of course, for Bitcoin. And what you can see here is we've got this 65, which seems to be a bit of a marker. I'm going to look more at the Bitcoin chart, but of course, we do like to marry it up here with the options. And then there was gold, which had that extremely large position that was sitting at 400. Well, that's why you get these types of sell-offs all the way back to 377 for gold. And about 370 seems to be where we've got a decent wall starting to appear. Again, a lot of buying going on there. So we'll see how this clears up. Sometimes it's not clear on the next day after a crash, but it clears the day after that. So this was a flash crash on gold and, of course, silver and other metals. Let's have a look at gold versus S&P. Why would we flash crash, guys? Well, we also hit the most important ratio of the last kind of like 10 years. So if gold breaks this, guess what? Gold's probably quite bullish versus the markets, and we could be going into a crisis at that point. In fact, gold could be dropping, the markets could be dropping more. But this actually looks like a basing pattern. And again, it's another good chart to have for you guys to track. In terms of bonds market, no freak out. High yield junk. So that's the spreads, no spread blowing out. High yield junk's not doing anything. So again, no freak out there. And the US dollar has continued its rise up off that support, which is kind of what we suspected. And of course, with the dollar rising a little bit, that also puts pressure on gold. But where you guys will be happy, and I'm sure a few of you were, is I know a couple of you nailed 4K. And look, you should be happy because it's not a bad buy. You know, initially anyway, you're going to find a bidder here. Why? Well, gold fell so much. I mean, yes, it's only back to where it was like pretty much a week ago, but it's down 8.57. And you can see here, this is a good demand and a good daily 20. And it's usually a well-respected level, you know, especially the first time it's hit. So you can see this is the type of thing that often happens when it goes into consolidation. Spikes off the 20, rallies a bit, questions somewhere up near the top, comes back down, maybe takes a low, consolidates, then keeps going up. And that's what we're going to be looking for here on gold. Silver was kind of similar. It hit into the daily 20 again, around that level that you'd expect it to be finding some stuff. I'll just show you guys here. If you use a fixed range on the rally up, you'll notice that there's quite a lot of transaction between 47-ish and 48.50. And of course, that's where we find ourselves at the moment in this pair. So is it early days? Yeah, I mean, you're buying the dip. Your dollar, you know, you're doing whatever you can in terms of, in this case, if you're buying the dip, you're just making a guess. But it's an educated guess on a decent level. The problem with this long term is if you're not investing in it, then it can keep dipping on you. You know, it could get more volatile. So do I think the volatility is out of silver and gold yet? No. Do I think it's going to go skyrocket into the moon? With a sell like this, it seems less likely because when you get these kind of 10% sell-offs, as we saw with Blue Curtix details, these types of bigger sells do tend to be more sideways for a while. But I would say, you know, that the peak euphoria for now is going to dwindle off. Then we can get back on track with the silver gold very soon, hopefully. Oil services, we're looking at that more than oil barrels because oil barrels, of course, are lame at this stage. But we've got here oil services going up, another good day for it. And if we actually take a look at the barrels, you'll notice it's kind of like a triple tweezer bottom. So a few astute viewers looked at Brent and they found that Brent was even a bit stronger. But at this stage, it's a very interesting bottom possibility. So oil will be in focus next couple of sessions. Tesla 450, we'll see. We've got a special coming in less than 24 hours on that, of course, with the earnings. And our newsletter will have a special as well. So make sure to sign up for that. Links in the description down below. And we'll have a special on Tesla, everything gold, silver. It's going to be a great one. We're relaunching. It's going to be fantastic. So thank you very much for the support, guys. Much appreciated. That's going to be awesome. Chinese stocks, yeah, look, still bullish, but no close above the 26,000. Again, trapped in their range. But I still like, of course, Chinese stocks based purely on liquidity. And you can kind of see, you know, a lot of the time, liquidity is the key from central banks. You know, you need to be, that's a very important aspect of all these markets. Nvidia, it's doing nothing. So we haven't got a massive movement here. if you were going to argue which has been the most impressive of the big mag stocks, you'd actually have to see Apple recently came out of nowhere and obviously started to improve. And I'm wondering whether Amazon, even in the face of bad news, of course, with Amazon Web Services, if that gets past 228, again, I say if it's in the press, no one cares in the stock market. So often if we get past a level like that, could be a really interesting thing. Remember, we come from abundance on this channel. There are so many opportunities, guys, so many opportunities. And there are new ones each and every day. So never, ever feel like you've got to chase. There's no reason to. NASDAQ, right around those all-time highs. Again, close above. We push higher. Gamma starts to take a hold. So that's going to be important. But I think the most interesting chart this week, other than maybe gold at the levels, has to be Bitcoin. You know, it's on the anchored VWAP from the lows. It's come back down a little bit. A few people have been saying, but Tom, what do you think about, you know, do you reckon it was a bit bullish yesterday? Yeah, we actually discussed this in our channel. So, you know, here, if you'd been day trading it, this was actually an excellent little buy. It did actually rally. I think that, yeah, you could take profit here, but I probably wouldn't have. Well, even though that seems like a lot, I would have broken even and probably been broken even. And that's just being real with you guys because I get a little greedy. You know, I want to get proper risk reward out of it. Actually, the trade would have been well over a 1-to-1. You would have been looking at almost a 2-to-1 on the trade. So it's surprising how many opportunities there are all the time. But just remember, you need a repeatable process. It's something I teach in my day trading masterclass particular, which isn't actually just day trading. It's actually position basing, which is what I'm all about. Position basing, I think it's like the best. You know, it's totally against AI. So if you have like a problem with AI and you think, oh, AI is going to kill me in trading and investing, it's a really good way of looking at markets. And I kind of designed it so that, you know, whatever AI looks like, at least in 5-10 years, there's a good chance that this will still work. Now, with Bitcoin anyway, we are back at that kind of little miniature support. But that being said, not a great sell-off there. I'm actually kind of hoping it gets this. And I know a lot of you don't want that. But if this happens and then it spikes up, it kind of makes sense. Because remember, everyone's expecting the end of the cycle here. Because that's the average. That's what's happened. The next 10 days pretty much ends everything. So if we sell off on Bitcoin, then we start to rally big time, people are going to lose their minds. And it's one of those cases where patience and maybe a reaction could be the best. 116 also, if you're just looking for bull triggers, these are the two main key areas. In here, a little bit of day trading action. But yeah, it is. I think it's one of the most interesting times we've faced for Bitcoin in possibly forever. It really is a massive change should it continue on the way up. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to subscribe, smash that like button, follow us on some of the other socials, follow me on LinkedIn, follow us on X, check out the newsletter, new one coming out tomorrow, so that's going to be pretty sweet. And of course, this is now closed. So thank you very much for the support in the Brisbane trading event. I'll be confirming with all of you guys that you can make it to the event next week. And of course, that's for the Australians out there. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to coming global, hopefully in 2026, and meeting all of you awesome people out there because you guys are absolutely spectacular. You're finding great stuff. You're sending me some amazing results you've had. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you, not only from watching this channel, because that means that you're educating yourself in anything. You know, that is just an amazing thing. And it's all too lost nowadays on so many people that are watching that brain rot garbage where it's like some person making, I don't know, dancing on a stool or something like that. Remember when people used to plank on everything? That kind of thing. You know, don't be watching that. Improve yourself. You guys are doing it. Smash it out of the ballpark. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.